Hey everyone, it's Lily here at AIBC. I'm joined by Seif El Hakim, our influencer, entrepreneur, CEO. So much that you're doing. Why don't you explain a little bit, exactly what you do and how you balance all of these different things?
Oh, Lily, thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure. So how I balance these things, I think it comes into my DNA. Like, I like to have a lot of things, but again, for people not to get me wrong, is to establish one thing to a level that makes me able to go to the next and the next and the next. So when I started back in the days, I was not in entrepreneurship at all. I used to be a corporate guy, ex-CMO of Samsung. Then when I left, I started building one thing at a time, and makes me where I am right now. I'm not stopping as well, because again, it's in my DNA. So in a nutshell, I run a consultancy firm, I run a media firm, I run a trading platform, consumer electronics brand, and I run also one of the biggest podcasts in the region.
Wow. Okay. That is a heck of a lot to be doing all at the same time. And when you say you give yourself steps, I always like to think about life like this, because everyone gives themselves ultimate goals, but it's how you get there is a journey and a path, and it's making you, how do you set, with all of these different businesses, how do you set your goals, and how do you ensure then that you're happy when you get there to then progress to the next stage?
I think the word happy is actually not, it's hard to be. You're always in a way that I'm moving from one goal to another, but being satisfied by the journey. I'm always having the loved ones around me. So whatever business that I'm doing, I'm having my close people around me, which means when I set up a company, I set up in a level that the team that I trust can run it after me. And then I go to the next one, because being an entrepreneur in a level that I get bored. I literally get bored. I come up with a lot of ideas. I need to move next. But that doesn't mean that I'm closing or quitting something. No, I put it up to a certain level. And thanks to corporate background that taught me how to do a business, a process, a structure that keeps us running by these kind of things. So that's the way I go.
It's actually a really hard thing to do. Like, so many people, when they start a business, become obsessed with their business, and then to allow someone else to take over it's a difficult thing, because you have your standards and how you see things progressing, and you have to allow someone else to take over that. And then also with the addition, we have technology as well taking over a lot of things. So how do you try and balance all of that with technology coming in and dealing with your CEOs and then thinking of new concepts? Your brain must be running all the time. Yeah. How do you try and process that and kind of, keep it within a control, but then letting it go?
First of all, you need to be very clear with yourself, okay? Which means when I set a goal to set up a business or reach a particular goal within a business, I need to understand where I stand and what is my capacity. Because at some moment and some time, I can be the ceiling of growth in this kind of venture. So once I see that I cannot grow it more, I need to step out and put somebody that can grow it further than I am. So that's one thing. Technology, there is no way that you can look the other side. You have to integrate technology, and now we live in an era where everybody talks about AI. We need to implement AI in a level, not only at the tool level, but at the DNA of the company. So a lot of people talking about these are the tools of AI, but again, that's not a competitive advantage. The competitive advantage when you have the AI in your DNA, which means you're AI first, not just using the tools because it blocks your scalability.
That's a very valid point. The big key term everyone likes using is powered by AI, and it's like, but you actually don't own that in IP. You can't use it without having the company behind it. So it's actually for you seeing technology and thinking, actually, I can do that myself and incorporate that in other businesses that you have. And then also with social media as well, being a big platform in terms of marketing, how do you leverage that? You said you have a podcast. Is that kind of the ways that you help to also sustain your businesses too?
I come from a marketing background, okay? Spent like over 10 years in marketing. I totally believe that branding and personal branding in today's era is as important as the other pillars of a business from a success standpoint. So my influence on social media plus the podcast, of course, it drives this. But again, the podcast for me is more of learning. It's more of I'm a curious person that when I get guests, I'm curious in that guest. It's not important that this guest is famous or not famous. That's not a criteria for me. I'm curious how they became successful. They run things. So that's why I use the podcast to actually teach me as well as my audience.
I really like that. Yeah, I think that's the thing. When you go into a podcast, like even working as an interviewer, you don't know anyone that thinks you know what questions you're going to ask. You actually don't. You have a framework, but you should be inquisitive and yeah, every day we should be learning something new and expanding our knowledge. And then you have your part of being like an influencer. How do you ensure that you have like a positive influence on what you're doing? Because that's also a very challenging thing to do, is trying to make sure that the content you're producing does good and is good for your viewers.
From that perspective, okay, I'm not trying to influence from an entertainment standpoint. I'm trying to influence from an educational standpoint. And the impact that I measure myself with is the feedback of my audience. When you wake up one day, you get a message that like, I became a millionaire because of you. My God, that's an impact. I did this and this and that because of you. So the thing that I'm trying to do with my influence is not that people look at me, they watch me. No, it is that people look, listen, watch, and trust what I'm doing so they can implement it. So that's the direction I'm going. I'm going into education rather than entertaining. And I see the impact by the feedback. I keep my ears always opened.
I really enjoyed you saying the word trust, because I think that really is a key thing. And especially in the world that we live in now, with so many influencers, it's difficult to trust. I'm mainly focused on crypto world, and I hate the term KOL because it frustrates me, because I'm like, they're not a key opinion leader because they just sell stuff. You're a salesman. You're not actually have a positive influence. So where do you see the world of kind of influencing going as well? Do we think it's going to change a bit in the next couple of years of how people influence? And will it be that more micro influencers become more of a trend? Or yeah, what do you kind of see happening?
Look, 100% that's going to happen. That it's changing 100%. Look, back in the days when I used to be like the CMO of Samsung, I used to hunt influencers to promote a product or a service that Samsung had. But the point is, we moved, if you look at the evolution, we moved from absolutely passive advertising to an absolutely active storytelling. But from TV advertising to influencers to like now to, I call it the trust economy. Okay. But down the line, when we're moving towards storytelling, the credibility with influencers was absolutely broken. So we're moving towards trust, and we're moving towards being a brand ambassador rather than an influencer, because we live in an era which I love to refer to it as influencer fatigue. Like as audience, we're tired of looking at influencers promoting something after something, which is mean post, get paid, repeat. No, now we're moving towards post, create an impact, become a brand ambassador.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing that we're going towards, becoming a brand ambassador. This being said, for the brands that they're tired of just having influencers to promote their products, I'll tell them, just get a brand ambassador by asking yourself a couple of questions. Number one, does this person use and believe your product? That's first of all. Because you see a lot of influencers promoting something that they actually don't use. The second, are they expert in this field? I can be promoting something in crypto, but I'm not an expert in that field.
Yeah.
The third, are they selective in their promotions or collaborations? Or just like, yes, I do anything. These are the main questions that the brand has to ask before any partnering with any kind of influencer, to move towards being a brand ambassador rather than an influencer, because that's going to die 100%.
That's so interesting to hear, and I do really hope it does change, because I believe that people should embody what they're doing, believe in it, and yeah, it's organic growth in certain ways.
Back in the days when I used to work in Samsung, I was not allowed to use another phone except Samsung. When people used to work in P&G, they were not allowed to use any other products in their home except it, and these are brand ambassadors. That's the right thing. That's the trust that you can build with the audience.
Yeah, I know even Emirates likes to say that now for like anyone that works for them, they're actually brand ambassadors. You're not just employees. When you walk outside the door, you are always representing us. And I think it's important for more brands to realize that, like, you're not just picking a person who has a big reach. You're choosing someone based on how they live their lives.
Alignment, 100%.
Well, thank you so much for this conversation. I could talk forever, but I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being here at AIBC as well. I hope you just keep coming back and we can have more conversations like this. So much. Thank you. Thank you.